Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. It's Good Friday and World Health Day. I'm Neo Tagwe. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good morning and welcome to the program. Shall I say happy Good Friday to you as well?
And from Lagos, it's a bright and happy morning. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I am Bukola Koka.
You see, the smile is different today. Someone's
I
day.
knew you were headed there.
I'm headed where?
Okay, so where are you headed?
You're here in Lagos. Well, yeah, it's a special day, so you understand why that smile is extra beautiful today. So it's a special day on all levels. Welcome to Lagos. I'm Kayode Okikule.
Talking about special days on all levels, Mogwe, today is World Health Day, and it's besides the fact that we're commemorating the death of Jesus, I think this Friday, Good Friday, is also another opportunity to look at how much of health is spread around the world and how that is even being managed. And that brings me to a conversation we were just having before we came on air about Nigerians who studied medicine and what is maybe, possibly, or somewhere along the line going to happen if indeed that bill passes. A bill in the National Assembly, actually, House of Representatives to be precise, now seeking to stop Nigerians who studied medicine or related courses from receiving their certificates until they've served the nation for 5 years. Now, some will wonder, excuse me, where's that coming from? Is that what we need right now? I mean, do you want to stop me after spending 6 years in studying medicine?
You said 6 years. You didn't count ASO strike.
Okay, 7, 9, 7 to from receiving my certificate. Why? Because you want me to work in Nigeria before I go in there. What's the benefit to me after going through all of that? I do know that our system is such that it's grueling, as in it drives you. If you're studying medicine in Nigeria, or you will study medicine, you will study deep, and it's. I have a couple of friends who studied medicine, and they tell you it is such that when you're done, you know you studied medicine. And
no, sir, we have to contextualize when you studied it. Not you now, but when you're friends. I mean, you're not exactly my age mate. So when your friends studied medicine, I imagine that maybe they will be around your age grade, or maybe a little younger, or even around my own age. The question is, I'm not doubting that our lecturers are giving their best, but sometimes you have to be able to say what happened in your time and what happened right now. If someone just finished studying medicine and maybe the person is 25, you guys are generations apart, at least one generation apart. I think that's very important to contextualize. But yes, indeed, when people study medicine in Nigeria, I do know that first of all, for you to get admitted into the program, I mean, JAMB score, if JAMB doesn't jam you out of the process, then you really got a thing going. So yes, indeed, we've seen that bill passing second reading yesterday, a bill for an act to amend the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act, Cap M379, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to mandate any Nigeria-trained medical or dental practitioner to practice in Nigeria for a minimum of 5 years before being granted a full license by the council in order to make quality health services available to Nigeria. Now, we understand that this bill is being sponsored by Honorable Ganiyu Johnson. I think that there are pros and cons of everything. Everything that is proposed, there will be an upside to it. There will be an upside, and of course, there will also be a downside. It's no news that for many years now, our health sector has been in some sort of danger in terms of the brain drain that we've witnessed in that particular sector. There have been questions as to what government is doing, what measures are they putting in place to keep our doctors here, not just doctors, but other medical personnel who have studied other areas affiliated with medicine. What are they doing to ensure that when we're done training these people, they don't just up and leave? What are we doing to ensure that talent stays here you know, those who have even given many years of their lives to this profession. What are we doing to ensure that the experience which they have garnered over the years, be it in the country or outside the country, you know, is beneficial to Nigerians? There are big questions. I mean, a few years ago, NTU away then, and I think it still happens on a yearly basis, where we see other countries come and conduct exams for our own doctors, for our own medical personnel here. And you see them attending in droves. We saw what happened in one of them, even though the DSS denied it. There were attempts to scuttle or to make rowdy the place where the exams were being held, just so that people would not be able to write those exams. But a lot of countries are not even ashamed. They come here in droves during COVID-19.
They know the quality of what we have.
Indeed. So the question is, do we value what it is that we have? What are we doing to ensure that, you know, we keep some of our, at least our talent here for a while? Because part of the argument that has trailed this is that people who study medicine in our country, and not just in people who study medicine in Nigeria, especially in government-owned universities, they are heavily subsidized.
True.
Do we pay all of that subsidy on the education of our own doctors, and after they're done, they go and serve other countries? Thereby, we lose not just the manpower, we also lose, I mean, not just losing the human resources, we also lose the investment, so to speak, that we have put in these people. You know, do we lose on both fronts? No. So much as a lot of people might not agree with this, you know, method, because they might say, is this the only way? Can't you incentivize people? You're in a market where there's scarcity, and the law of economics is that when there is scarcity, then, you know, the value goes up.
Yeah.
And it's just what happens. During COVID, when countries were busy guarding very jealously their borders, would you believe that countries were busy sending private jets to our country to come and pick up medical personnel from Nigeria? So we've since found out that these are one set of assets that we need to protect. The question is, how are you going to do that? Even this law that we're attempting to pass, who's going to implement it?
One would think that the bill or the amendments that should happen should be around ensuring that those who are in public office do not send their children anywhere outside of this country for education or medical attention. They themselves shouldn't even leave this country to seek medical attention outside the shores of this country. That would ensure that they do what is necessary to build the right infrastructure here, because it will benefit them and their families, not this kind of bill that they are pursuing so stringent or so seriously. I mean, build a system where everybody will be fine. Build a system where everybody will be benefiting because you are in public office. Instead of wanting to stop, permit me to use the word, children who have gone through this period of learning, and then they see a market out there that's demanding for their gifts, and you want them not to go, it will be a tough call there. But let's see.
It's second reading. Just to point out that it's a second reading. Yes, by the third read, I think it will go to public hearing, and then, you know, it will be up for debate in the National Assembly as well. So at that time, the public will also get to have their own input as to what they think. I imagine that publicizing this should get, especially those who are going to be asked to, you know, who are going to be mandated to do this, very interested. They should be monitoring this bill, you know, with a stethoscope, monitoring the heartbeat of the bill every step of the way, and making sure that they get their voices heard loud and clear. But I don't know what Kayode and Buki think.
Well,
what more to add, really?
Really, Kayode, they're hitting the nail on the head with every point made. Well, this bill, you know, what does it do? I believe it somewhat infringes on the fundamental human rights of, you know, our Nigerian health workers, so to speak, because you really can't stop freedom of movement for any professional, for any national of any country. Everyone has a right, you know, to move at a particular point in time. But this seems seems to me to be treating the symptoms rather than the root causes. One of the questions we should be asking is, why are people moving? Why are medical workers moving? What are the conditions in our health sector? Only last year, Nigerian governors, in partnership with international institutions, committed to revamping the primary healthcare system. What's been done, from that point? How much investment have we seen? As it is today, our primary health sector is still suffering. And, I remember one of the conversations we had last year on the program was to the effect that for diagnosis of health conditions, that are, sophisticated, the first port of call should be the primary healthcare system, not the secondary healthcare system, not state health institutions, not specialist hospitals. But that is not the case with our primary healthcare system in this country. There are mere, institutions where you go to collect paracetamol, and for women, to go for their antenatal and, for family planning. That's what you find in the primary healthcare systems that are functioning in the first place. And just to talk about Zimbabwe, was in the news also yesterday about a law that has been introduced that will make it illegal for other nations to recruit its medical personnel. For a country of 15 million, they have just about 3,000 or 4,000 medical workers. That's my mathematics is not good, Kayode, but if you could help me with the division, it suggests to me that you have less than one medical doctor to about 5 patients, so to speak. So, but what are the conditions, precipitating the mass exodus of medical workers from Zimbabwe as well? If we went to check, it would be the same that we're experiencing back home. So is anyone thinking about criminalizing, the conditions that make it, necessary, absolutely compulsory for these people to leave? I think that should be the problem that should be tackled rather than, the consequences. Kayode.
Absolutely. I was looking at figures. I mean, it's important we're having this conversation on World Health Day. By the way, it's 75 years since the establishment of the World Health Organization. So everything is just coming together in this conversation, health for all. And if we want to achieve health for all, we need to start looking at those, as you said, not the symptoms, but the root causes. If we want to ensure that, we do right by our people, health is meant to be basic. And what might interest you first is that even in the UK, there was this conversation as far back as 2016, 2017, that, wait a minute, see how much it costs us to actually train our doctors. At that point, it was about £230,000 to train doctors. And the conversation was, wait a minute, we need to get a return on our investment. So yes, that conversation has been happening not just in Nigeria, but even in other countries. And if you look at figures, how much it costs, to train doctors in African countries, the Mo Ibrahim Foundation says doctors cost an African country between $21,000 to $51,000 to train. Compare that to the over £200,000 it costs to train, according to, now the figure for the UK is actually from the UK government, £230,000 to train doctors. So if you weigh that, you see the disparity. Add to that the fact that in Nigeria, what doctors earn leaves much to be desired. I was looking at just a range of how much doctors earn, and imagine a doctor earning just over $400 a month, 150,000 naira, earning max 800,000 naira a month. And then they go to other clients and they see that they can earn millions when you do the conversion a month. Naturally, your instinct tells you, I need to do better for myself, for my family. So there is that conversation. We need to ensure that is sorted. Yes, it's okay to get return on investment, but as Bukola said, these are the reasons why these people move. Will we begin to criminalize people that go abroad to get medical attention, politicians? And don't forget, Nigerians are subsidizing their lifestyle as well. They are actually earning Nigerian funds, public funds. As far as you say that, yes, even the students are being subsidized for public universities, even the politicians are getting some sort of subsidy. So I think this is a conversation we all need to sit down and have. I remember one of the reps saying he knows how to spot a bill that won't do well, and he thinks this bill will not do well.
But it's past second reading.
Well, so there are still other processes.
I'm wondering about the thinking, of lawmakers who have enabled this bill to pass second reading. Are they also talking about the problems rather than the consequences that they intend to deal with?
I think we should just have this conversation with the thinking that we need to do right by everybody, not just the politicians, but even the doctors out there who are slaving, literally earning 200,000 naira per month. Indeed, that is the case. So let's make this work for everybody, guys.
Indeed, until we understand what it means to build a system to keep our own, somebody else will be looking at how to pull that from under our feet, and we do not want to lose our brothers and sisters. Yet, we should not be stopping people from seeking out greener pastures out there. As someone would say, if you don't take care of your house and you take care of the treasure that you have, somebody out there will be looking to pull that treasure away from you. You can imagine what's going on in Zimbabwe, Malkwe. I mean, it's illegal for any country to employ their citizens who are medical personnel.
This is illegal for the countries.
Yes.
In other words, when that happens, what do you do? I mean, what do you do to those countries? You know, it's one thing for you to pass laws. It's another thing for you to think of how that law will work. I'm very interested in knowing what it is that happens when those countries, you know, come around to employ them. What do? Do you sanction them? Or what?
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Break relations with them?
No way. We will keep tabs on this one and see how it goes. As we said, it's just a second reading that the bill's gone through. There will be going to the committee, there'll be a public hearing, and then before it even goes on to say it's been passed, and then it will have to be signed. But while we wait on that, we'll move on to other things. Remember, today is World Health Day, health for all. You need to actually sit back and check 75 years of the World Health Organization, and I'm sure there will be some events today, walks, talks, and all of that, assessment of how effective the World Health Organization has been, and indeed, assessment of how much of health there is for everyone. The theme for this year, health for all. We'll be back in a moment to look at some of the dailies on Sunrise Daily. Don't go away. Okay, and we're starting out with Daily Trust. Daily Trust newspaper, and has this one for a headline: subsidy removal. Experts flay FG's $800 million palliatives. Say amount just 6% of 6 trillion naira annual subsidy. It'll be 2,000 naira one-off support per citizen. I mean, this $800 million will just be 2,000 naira one-off support per citizen. No lesson learned from 16 billion naira wasted on Sherpy in 2012. These are comments from experts, they say, and that story continues on page 4. The conversation around subsidy is not ending. It looks like it's not a conversation that's going to be quick and will end quickly. It looks like something that's going to be really stretched. But check page 4 for details of that. Then you see pictures of President Buhari receiving diplomats who have done their tour of duty and are about to leave the country. They came to say their goodbyes. Above that, just below the nameplate, 10th NAS. APC governors give yardstick for choosing principal officers is on page 10. Airlines cancel flights as fan oil marketers clash in Abuja, page 19. I wonder how that would affect travels for the Easter festivities. Page 31 has a story there. FIFA rankings. Nigeria slips to lowest position in 4 years. What is that position? You have to go to page 31 to know exactly, if you don't already know, what Nigeria's position is. And that's it from Daily Trust.
Well, take a look at Vanguard newspapers. It's got this on its front page. Labour, NECA, NYCN reject subsidy removal, palliatives. We're no party to palliative talks by federal government. We insist on local refining. That's according to NLC. TUC rejects $800 million palliatives, says federal government on its own. Okay? Then NECA faults $800 million palliatives, insists on fixing local refineries. Northern youths threaten mass action, say palliatives will be looted by government officials. So you find details on page 5 of the paper. different reactions. It looks like the stories have been bunched together. I know that the current TUC president has also spoken on why it might be important for subsidy to go, but they're certainly not supporting, the palliatives. $800 million. That's one of the things I was mentioning yesterday, that please, I hope it's not the outgoing government, because if there's any palliative that is going to be put in place, it shouldn't be a government that is about to leave.
They're even saying the $800 million is not enough, because it just amounts to 2,000 naira one-off support per citizen. That's what they're saying.
According to which census?
Well,
okay, let's see what happens. Page 5 is where you find details, but I'll advise you to read the story. Don't just jump to conclusion with what you see on the front page. You also see that 2023 polls show of shame. That's according to Obasanjo. Says it's too old to keep quiet and watch. Insists Nigeria more divided now than ever. It's on page 8 of the paper. He also, at that particular gathering, called for reconciliation and healing. So page 8 is where you see details. You also see there 2023 polls change Nigeria's political climate. It's according to Buhari. Labour Party's crisis worsens as faction invades National Secretariat. Peter Obi has no plan to leave Nigeria despite pressures, is according to the LPPCC. And you have a number of other stories at the bottom. Super Eagles drop. Argentina rise to the top. If they're making a poem, well, that works. A little more on the back page of Vanguard Sports. FIFA ranking, Super Eagles drop. Yeah, we've already seen that. You have a number of other stories. World Cup will be tough for us. That's according to Super Falcons coach. You might want to know who that is. No visible change in Super Eagles under Pesero, says Mikel. So you find details all on the back page of Vanguard. Let's leave it there for Vanguard and Vanguard Sports newspapers.
And flip very quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune also takes a very close look at that event yesterday where the former president spoke, and this is how it captions the big story. Nigeria more divided than we thought, as ascribed to Obasanjo. Look at the writers. Says incoming government must seek national reconciliation. Describes last election as a show of shame. Decries growing debt profile, says country spending like drunken, what's that again? Drunken sailors. Strong words there coming from the former president. Well, it depends on, the point of view from which you see it, but some think that the last elections were also very successful, particularly because, some sitting governments and political parties lost power to the opposition. So from that perspective, they think that the elections were successful.
Well, the last line is particularly about government spending as well. And I think that's something we need to talk about, because we're having a conversation with the Debt Management Office, and yes, the debt profile is growing, but what are we using the money for? How are we ensuring that we're cutting wastages? I mean, we should actually carry ourselves the way we are, not the way we think that we are. It's not the problem of, you used to say that our problem is not money, it is how to spend it. That was what, decades ago. Now, the challenge is revenue, and we need to wake up to that. So instead of having revenue
I guess that's
vehicles,
what the DG said yesterday, 2 days ago, I believe, that she's, because of, that question, she's an advocate of, encouraging the revenue generation drive. So,
and also cutting excess or spending in general. Go on.
Well, those are thoughts, for the incoming administration. Let's take a look at other stories from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. There are some that are quite disturbing, but before we get there, take a look at this one. Obi Dati's comments not in violation of Section 37 of Criminal Code. Interesting thought there coming from the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana. If you're just want to find out what he's thinking, is you find details on page 4 of the paper. Now, look at this one. Gunmen kill 46 in Benue. You find details inside page 28. But what exactly is happening there? I mean, this is very, very disturbing.
Indeed, and it's not the first time we've seen killings. We thought we had a lull during the elections, so to speak, but 46, and I heard it was during there was a burial that was taking place to bury, I think, 3 people that were killed. And then this happened. 46.
You know, when it comes to security matters, we really shouldn't be talking about lull or a respite. Security agents need to look at what exactly is happening and nip it permanently in the bud. Let's leave it there for the Nigerian Tribune.
The Guardian with this one, it's a different story, and it just paints a picture. With the picture itself, National Stadium of Shame failed 31 months after $1 million facelift. It's the Guardian's big story, and you can see the pitch there. It's not exactly green with consistency, and seeing the match that Nigeria played the last time, you begin to wonder, I mean, we can do better than this. This is meant to be our best stadium. What is going on? So good thing that the Guardian is paying attention, pages 4 and 5 of the paper this morning. And just at the bottom strip in red, Labour unmoved, says FG wants to cash in on $800 million palliative. So yeah, that's it for the Guardian newspaper.
And from there, let's take a look at New Telegraph. New Telegraph also, you know, follows up on the event where former president spoke yesterday, and that's a big story. Nigeria under threat of undemocratic forces, reporting it from another perspective entirely. Take a look at the riders. They say, the first of it says he's too old to tell lies about happenings in the country. Ugly occurrences during 2023 polls show nation now more divided, corroded, as a matter of fact. Strong words there from former president. Away from that, let's go above the nameplates to look at some stories that might interest you. This is coming from the Defense Headquarters. Interim government unconstitutional, not applicable. And I recall hearing the military official there saying yesterday, though it's not the constitutional duty of the military, but then they are weighing in on the matter all the same. A follow-up on that story also from Benue comes right after that one. Gunmen kill 4 policemen, 48 others in Benue, Lagos, Edo. You find details inside page 6 of New Telegraph. At the bottom strip, there's also this one pose. Loss of governor's bid for Senate means no more easy route to power. And guess who's speaking there? It's Mr. President himself.
Oh, yeah. He's been speaking about the election. Well, Leadership Friday, yeah, it's Friday, Good Friday, I should add, has this one. Post-election crisis escalate in APC, Labour Party, page 4. And you're wondering, what does this mean? Enugu APC suspends Onyema, Osita, Nemani, Chime. LP faction names Apapa as acting chairman as amid tight security. What's playing out in the Labour Party? Yes, we'll be taking you through all of that this morning. Okay, we have the backstory for you. And you see this one, I'm still in charge. Abure insists, gets confidence vote of state chairman. I think the Labour Union, the NLC, also released a statement to that effect. But hey, now this is what is playing out in the Labour Party, but not to worry. We have that for you on the program this morning. And take a look at this one. Military dismisses interim government, warns sponsors. I do recall, I think it was yesterday or so, that the Chief of Army Staff was saying, well, Nigeria is not under any threat. So is this in line with that? Now, what does that say about the alleged plots by the DSS then? What exactly is going on? You know, is this storm in a teacup? Is this propaganda? Is this something we should be wary of? Those are the fears or opinions being expressed by Nigerians. It just may be something
we need to be wary of. It just may be more than a storm in a teacup for the military to be weighing in on it. Then it appears that it's a very real threat. But then again, Malkwe has always said when it comes to this subject matter that the DSS needs to provide proof, you know, such that, you know, we don't run away with that unrest within us about what exactly is happening. So if there is proof, then go after those.
So Nigerians see that indeed.
Raising this dust.
Right.
Yes.
And the court has actually ruled on interim government. You know, Let's be there for Leadership Friday.
And from Leadership Friday, let's take a very quick look at Daily Independent this morning. Of course, it's the same big story, so let's take a look at other stories from the front page. Going above the nameplate, herdsmen kill 49 in fresh Benue community attack. And there's another one right after that, which, of course, will form part of our discussion this morning. Thugs attack Labour Party National Secretariat in Abuja. And one of the just one rider says, "We only recognize Aburi as party chairman, NLC." Well, we saw a gentleman yesterday speaking and presenting himself as the new national chairman of the party, following, the court order. Well, there are 2 court orders, by the way. So we'll find out what exactly is happening with the Labour Party later on this morning. And just to let you know that there's a growing traffic situation on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, I believe, from the K2 axis.
Yeah, in case you're coming in from Lagos, or you're coming to Lagos to do business, or you stay in Lagos, you're planning to apply that route. This is the situation right now. So this is travel advisory from Channels Television. This is a situation right now at the K2 end, and this is all the way back to Ogudu, and then tilts even back forward up until outwards Lagos. That's after the Kara end of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, where the construction is taking place. So just in case you have plans, you need to factor this in. Some people have had to spend, what, 5 hours?
Yes.
6 hours in that traffic.
And that's no exaggeration.
That is no exaggeration. Morning, night. So this is travel advisory. There is heavy traffic on that route from Ogudu, Keto, outbound Lagos, majorly up until Kara, Opik, and afterwards. So please be mindful of your movement this morning. Well, that's it with the papers and the travel advisory. We're starting off with the big story. This one concerns Labour Party. Join us again.
Concerning Labour Party, you are all aware that yesterday, 4th of April, the national chairman of our party and 4 other officers were restrained by Abuja High Court not to parade themselves as officers of the party. This is based on allegation of perjury, forgery, and so on and so forth. And because of that, this National Working Committee emergency meeting is taking place. Because in an occasion like this, there is no room for vacuum. And therefore, this National Working Committee meeting has graciously appointed me as the acting national chairman of the party, while Alhaji Saleh has been appointed as the acting secretary of the party. While Comrade Roland Damola, who has been the financial secretary of the party, now handles both the office of the financial secretary and that of the treasurer.
And that's where we're starting off from, that matter of the Labour Party and the crisis rocking the boat, the leadership situation of the party, all the allegations, the back and forth. And Harvard here in the studio to help us get a sense of what's happening in there. Dr. Yunusa Tanko is the chief spokesperson of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Also here is Dr. Abayomi Arabambi, National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Good morning, Nigerians.
Let's start with you, the National Publicity Secretary. What's going on in your house?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians, once again. What is going on in Labour Party is purely, our party affairs. And this issue started last year in the build-up to the primaries of our political parties. Some candidates that did their primary governorship in Enugu by the name Ezeoko emerged as the winner of governorship primary in Ebonyi State. Why one Murphy Imasem also emerged as our House of Representative candidate. But suddenly their name were published by INEC, and by the time INEC will release the second batch of the list of candidates that will contest election, their name has been removed. A meeting was called by the NWC. We demanded from the chairman what transpired between now and then, who gave the authority for this name to be substituted, because they are not dead, and the people are here. They said they were not the one, that wrote letter of withdrawal and the affidavit. It dismisses this, issue, with a wave of hand, and that crisis now started, between us. We proceeded to INEC, because in Labour Party, the ideology of the founding father was equality and social justice. Everybody, we are all equal there, and justice must be seen to be served to all and sundry. We wrote to INEC. Professor Mahmoud replied that, there were documents submitted by your national chairman, your national secretary, to the commission, claiming that those two candidates withdrew by themselves, and that they even sought an affidavit at the FCTI court. We said, okay, we apply for the certified true copy of the document. We proceeded to the FCTI court, and we wrote to the registrar, Sir, ma, we want certified true copy of what this document, they call it this governorship election notice of withdrawal of candidates, and also the letter of voluntary withdrawal. That was when the court wrote back to us with the certified true copy that those documents were forged by the chief registrar, Lawa Fumilola, director of Commissioner of Food Department.
It's the courts that wrote back to you?
Yes, they wrote back, giving us the certified true copy. And that was when we got to know that the chairman and secretary deliberately forged the seal of the court in the affidavit. That is one. They forged the signature and stamp of the Commissioner of Oath, and they also produces their own TSA account. Everything is here. That was how that issue started between us.
You forged?
Yes. We have the certified true copy. Everything here, they are certified true copy from the court. Then, we have the candidate. Proceed to court. Here I have, this is the Federal High Court judgment, Abakaleke Division. This is certified true copy, where it was affirmed that the people they claim withdrew, they were not the one that withdrew, and their documents were forged and presented to the INEC, and court directed, remove the name of the people who submitted to INEC and replace them with the original candidate. This is the Federal High Court. Abure appeal with those candidates that it imposed on the party. They proceeded to Court of Appeal, they and their candidate. They lost at the Court of Appeal. This is the certified true copy of the judgment. The Supreme Court, on 28th day of February, affirmed the decision of the Court of Appeal. This is also the certified true copy. We asked him, my dear friend, you have to resign. Our president candidate is a man of integrity. We will never allow you to think you can have your way. To hide yourself under this manifest fraud and to think you will be deceiving Nigerians, that you can lead Nigeria to a promised land. The question we ask him is that if you are challenging APC that they are corrupt, if you are challenging PD that they are corrupt, we must be seen to be doing our own thing differently. We told him point blank then that it is normal in a Senate crime, when a man pontificates on a lofty principle of idea of decency, you must never turn around to say that principle is no more realistic and that compromise is not at the order of the day. That was when he refuses. He absconded from his house. He was now staying in the PC's headquarters. He absconded from the secretariat. We now petition the police. The police report is here. I also have the certified true copy because I am a man that knows, due diligence. We applied for the IGP that, okay, the petition that we wrote, what happened to it? They asked us to apply. I wrote the application to the IGP. It was approved, and we were given report of the police investigation. They are also here, which states that the forensic audit they did on those documents confirmed that they were forged. And the 4 of them that were involved were the national chairman, the secretary, organizing secretary, and the treasurer. And that an arrest warrant, I am telling you, has already been issued for them. They were all here. So, before the police would start their work, we proceeded to court on the civil matter. We asked the court, my lord, can a man who has committed this, because we have 2 documents, one from the police and one from the register of the FCTI court, can he continue to be parading himself as our national chairman? That was why, through the expert motion, that the court said, no, we are going to restrain you. Our lawyer even asked for abridgment of 8 days, come back, because we wanted him to come to court with any lawyer he has. Let them come and prove this case before Nigeria. Because when you come to equity, you must be seen to come with a clean hand.
Okay,
so that was why we approached the court, and the court will restrain him. And because nature above vacuum, everybody knows that it's not constitution. And the constitution of a political party can never be greater than the constitution of Nigeria.
Mr. Arabambi, just a moment. Let's come to Mr. Tanko, because yes. I know that you've also spoken a bit on this matter.
Yeah.
And I think that you have spoken in defense of the national chairman, saying that he cannot be removed. But from what he said, forgery is a pretty strong allegation.
Thank you.
You want to shed a little more light on?
Well, I thank you very much that you mentioned that it's allegation, and that's clear. For anybody who is expecting me to come here this morning and be sharing argument with Arabambi, the publicity secretary, as all, must be mistaken. It won't happen. What will happen is this. I will just allude to the fact that whatever the internal challenges are within the Labour Party, which he or any other person may be part of, ab initio, whatever the challenges are, as he reeled out all of these particular documents, is either he was part of it because they are a National Executive Council, which he is a part of. And at the same time, he knows the constitution of the party, which is very, very clear. These are issues that can be dealt with within the party itself until when the allegation is proved beyond reasonable doubt in the court in which they have gone to. I read out to you section 17, article 17 of the party. Permit me, please. Article 17 of the party said very clearly that, he said, Article 1, he said the national chairman of the party may be suspended or removed from office on the vote of no confidence passed by at least 2/3 majority of the National Convention convened solely for the consideration only of such motion. Very, very clear. That is the Constitution all of us adhere to follow. So, if there are this particular quantum of allegations and all, we have a modus operandi and how these issues can be dealt with. But that was not followed. It seems to me that it's a targeted attempt, apart from the national chairman, but targeted at Peter Obi and Deti Baba Ahmed. Because these internal struggles could have been nipped on the bud right in the party, while we are at the midst of struggling for the soul of Nigeria, led by Peter Obi. We are now being meandered and manipulated within the party in order to challenge the leadership of the party who is at the presence of this particular struggle, and then we are leaving credence to some other thing. I am not alluding to the fact that they have a document that they want to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Prove it at the party. We will deal with our chairman. We have the capacity to deal with the chairman if he's found one.
Mr. Tanko, thank God you mentioned that they have documents as yes. proof. Certified true copies of everything, investigations yes. from the police, from the court,
yes.
and all of that. And you think that should be taken into? It should be an internal thing.
Of course, because it's the power of the party.
It's forgery. No. Crime.
Yes, I said all of this document. I didn't contradict any of the document that they said. And we said it clearly that it's an allegation. When you prove it, then you deal with the chairman. It's simple as that. Not waive it. Do not waive it at all. It is a heinous crime for you to be engaged in forgery in any position of the law. And the party will deal with it according to its own internal organs. And that will be done because if you prove within all of us are members of the party, and you bring us such very, very serious document, and you say probably will not deal with the chairman. No, we will. That one is a fact.
Okay,
but I'm only saying that the processes of dealing with the chairman should be followed according to the constitution, would cut all of us together.
Dr. Abambi, one second, please. Dr. Abambi, did you consider the internal working mechanism of your party in your constitution before taking this to the public?
Yes, of course.
So did you follow it?
We followed the constitution of the party, but Article 7 of our party constitution alluded to the fact that our constitution is subservient to the constitution of Nigeria. So, where there is a conflict between any law, edict, or other constitution that is in contravention of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that law will have to be set aside in its entirety and shall be declared null and void. So our constitution is already in contravention of the Constitution of Nigeria. Now, this person, we are not asking him to convey the convention for suspension or removal. No. It is to step aside while we will cause an investigation. It is normal thing in law that you can never be a judge in your own case. When you have to be investigated, you will not be on that seat. Another person will have to be there. He knew about all this investigation. In the report of the police, they were invited 4 times, they were here. Everything is here. They refused to honor the investigation. Is it deliberately we demanded from the office of the IGP this document so that tomorrow nobody will say, oh, they don't know what they are saying. Now, when you are invited by the police, come and explain your own in this saga, and you absconded. But because you know we're in a political terrain, we said, okay, IGP, please, sir, we were the one that wrote the petition. Can you furnish us with all the detail? And Baba said, okay, don't worry, go and put an application because police are not politicians. Go and put an application. We put up an application and everything we got. Also the court, we approach the court. I think we'll be more civilized, in our way than for anybody to now run on here to say, oh, Thug invaded, party secretariat. We have done what we are supposed to do. We are not calling for convention. Nobody is removing me from office. But normally, you cannot be a judge in your own case. You cannot be a judge in your own case.
It does appear, I see you nodding your head. Do you agree with that point?
Of course, when you talk about constitutionality and all, and that is the reason why, when the court also said that there's a stay in action, just like the way it was pronounced in Benin, just like yesterday we had the document saying that you stay action until when you prove your case beyond reasonable doubt, when the hearing is being done on the case. So I agree totally. So let's subject it to the issue of forensic expert from the court and then deal with this matter internally. I will agree with you totally. I will never, ever support anybody engaged in forgery against the Federal Republic of Nigeria or against any individual, not from my backing and training. But also, I will not agree to the fact that we will not follow the rudiments of the law as Democrats, which is already been ensured, because the key issue of democratic tenets is the rule of law and engagement.
Well,
when that is established, and that will make us much easier. But then, at the same time, I make it clear that for anybody within the party to be engaged in these particular challenges here and forth without following it, you should know that the target is beyond the chairman. The target is against our presidential candidate and the Nigerian state.
We'll bring up that issue in a moment, but I want to say, I mean, for them to have certain documents when they have written to the court,
yes.
And the court says, no, the document you have provided is a forgery. And they say this is a certified true copy. Some people will say that perhaps it's now moving beyond the realm of allegation. When you now begin to have hard evidence from the court. You write to the police says, oh, we've done an investigation on that document. It also looks like a certified, we've done some forensics on it, and this is moving beyond what it is that we're saying. Some people will say that perhaps there ought to have been a quicker resolution of the issues within the Labour Party before this matters came to this point.
Oh, I agree with you totally. And there have been series of attempts in that regard. He's aware of that. There's been a lot of, in fact, I have confirmed video where both him and some other persons were saying that, okay, we know this thing is targeted towards our principal and all of those ones will bury our sword and deal with the matter internally and all. I have those videos. And that's to confirm that such attempts were being made within the party. And at the same time, if we have a document that did this, the courts are there to prove beyond reasonable doubt as regard to what really transpired, and they will make this particular judgment. And then the court also will look at all of the documents and say, look, you have been found wanting in this regard, and that is that, and then you must leave that office. That's all I'm just saying. So, but for us to be engaging back and forth on the matter, no.
Mr. Arabambi, I'd like to also, come to you in terms of where your party currently is at. It's in a rather precarious position, and some people will say that, well, yes, you might have a case against a national chairman, but this might not be the most auspicious time to be pursuing this particular matter in the manner that you are pursuing it, especially looking at what has just happened post the 2023 elections and the stand that your party is taking on the 2023 elections. Don't you think that the manner in which you're going about this could affect the credibility of your party as it seeks to, make a case in court against what has happened in the 2023 elections?
No, it's not going to affect the credibility. Rather, it's going to, allude to the fact that we are even more a credible political party than the one we have. We don't want Nigerians to believe we are going to have, let me say, if we won at the court now, we don't want anybody to believe we have a government that will say, come, when you join us, just go and say no more. Once, for the first time, we were the political party that has ever been able, to come out, with this kind of issue against our leadership. Before PO came, into the party, we have, our ways of working in line with our constitution. But when all this matter, happened, everything started late last year. Like he said, a lot of moves have been made. But because the chairman, the former chairman felt is above board, he considered himself as the only NWC member. He assumed his surname is NWC. But we must not just sit back and allow this kind of thing, to wash away. The reason is this: you have the candidate here is a family man. You denied him his right to run for governorship. The other man is a House of Representative member. You deny them the right. We cannot wish all those one away. They are individual. They have their right to run for an election, which they have done. But why must someone just decided that, oh, let me just put a blockade on these people road for a reason best known to him? We have discussed with the chairman. We have met, several times, but he will tell you that there's nothing anybody can do. We say, okay, whether we can do something or not, you will know. That's why we approach the court. I think we've been civil to approach FCT court that in the light of all this, by Lord, even the document of the court that was forged was from the FCT. Can this man continue to parade himself? Now he want to set up an investigation panel that is even going to involve them. As you see us here, we are all brothers. We are not fighting with the PCC. And like I said, we are with, PO. PO is a man of integrity. I keep saying it. But Abure, the former national chairman, cannot hang such baggages on his neck and think he can just throw into a sort of with PO. It's not going to happen.
Indeed, we actually, when you were walking to the studio, we saw that you're indeed brothers. But when your house is shaking, one begins to wonder: are you thinking about the house in the bid to clean up? Are you thinking about the structure of that house? But let's go to Lagos. Our colleagues they have some questions here, guys.
Well, thank you, Neota. There's also that saying that, brothers don't always have to smile with each other. In fact, when they go into a room and they come out smiling, they're most likely not told themselves the truth. Let me start with Dr. Arabambi on this one before I go to Mr. Tanko. And I'd like you to speak to the court order from the Edo State Court, which actually restrained the party, that's Labour Party, from suspending its national officers until the determination of motion on notice. It was State High Court sitting in Benin City. That was clear, and I wonder if you're going to obey that court order.
Now, Benin came 4 hours after the FCT has granted the order. Now, the order of Benin has no business with us. The people that suspended him are the ward executive that Abure himself came on air to deny that they are mercenaries, they are member of opposition political party, and they are not member of Labour Party. But surprisingly, he went back to the court to a motion on his party, which was his right, that, oh, they are now members of the party, and that they must not suspend him. But let me be very clear. It is, it is settled in law. When an action has been completed, you have to seek an order to vacate it. Now you are saying 4 days after you have been suspended, you now rush to a high court that, oh, I want an order that I should not be suspended. It is like a man that has been slapped. You run to court and they say, remove the slap. There is no order that will say, oh, remove the slap, because you have been slapped already. That is what, he went to court. Nobody is talking about the suspension. He only went there to say, oh, this, what the executive suspended me. I don't want them to suspend me. He had been suspended. He was being economical with the truth. He didn't furnish the court, with the correct information. That was the order that came out 4 hours after our own order, has been granted in Abuja. So it is a distinctive case, very, very difficult. We have to distinguish it. What we did, what we're asking Abuja to do, is that the court said he should stop parading himself pending the final determination or the motion of notice, which, or the ordinary summon, which we have served on him now. But the one he got in Edo State, nobody has come to the secretariat to say, okay, come and take, this is what they have. The people he has issue with, they will go there. The one the executive he has issue with, they will go there, they will go to the court and settle that matter. But the one we have in Abuja is so germane, to the success and feature of democratic values in Nigeria. Well, because if a chairman, you went to Edo court, you knew the reason, even while you are suspended. You hide out from the court, and you said, no, they suspended you, you don't want them to suspend you. It's even an aberration in law for him to have gone to ask the court to say they should not suspend him. He has been suspended. He would have asked for an order vacating the suspension, not asking the court to grant him an order that he should not be suspended or they should not submit a report or suspension. Our own matter is very, very clear. We went to court, we presented all the documents that we have, and we asked the court that in the light of all this accusation, in the light of all this allegation, in the light of all this, infraction that this man committed and the rest, can they continue to act in office? Can they be a judge in their own case? And the judge agree with us that they should stop parading themselves as officers of the party pending, when we will be able to prove, our case. And I don't think there's anything bad in him just stepping aside for some, 1 or 2 months, because governance is continuum.
All right. There are still issues within the party's constitution that we would like to raise, and other court issues, as well as the position of some allied groups, I might say, within your party. Not forgetting the obedience, the millions of Nigerians who voted for your candidate and, by extension, your party, and they're looking on and wondering what exactly is going on. Well, we'll get some answers to that right after the break. So, gentlemen, please stay with us.
I foresee that they are being sent and sponsored by opposition political parties. And I don't want to mention the names of those parties here, who are afraid of the fortune, of the strength of the Labour Party. The Labour Party have become a very big movement and one family. Yes. That it will be difficult for any person to infiltrate. Yes. And I want to use this as an opportunity to tell them that they should have thought of a more decent way of doing it. But for this one, it's dead on arrival. Oh, yes. And I can assure you of that. Like you have seen, my ward chairman is here. The ward register is here. None of those names is in the ward register. Those names are not even ASAN names. They are unknown to us. So I want to appreciate all of them, and I want to assure you that this is just the beginning. Yes. The party has come to stay. Yes, we'll continue to work for the party. We'll continue to move on. We are challenging the outcome of the presidential election and indeed all other elections. Yes, sir. Not even this distraction will distract us from pursuing it. It's a mandate that has been freely given to our people, to our party, and we shall not rest in our oars till we defend that mandate. Amen. If that is the reason why they are planning all of this, they should think of a better way.
Mr. Eunice Tanko and Dr. Abayomi Arabambi still with us on the program, helping us get a sense, a better understanding of what's playing out within the Labour Party. And let me just go to Dr. Arabambi quickly as a follow-up. You listened to Comrade Julius Abure there describing all of these actions. That was some days ago, before this latest one that we saw yesterday. But he said it is dead on arrival. And with him, he had the ward chairman of the party saying that those people who carried out the previous suspension, which you said has been done, he said that, well, those names are not even on the register. They're not even names from that area. Add to that, Dr. Arabambi, the fact that the NLC, the Nigeria Labour Congress, through its president, actually is backing Comrade Julius Abure. In fact, in a statement released by Comrade Joe Ajero, the NLC president, he described your suit as frivolous suit and spurious prayers from mercenary party members. And he says that these are capable of compromising the integrity of the court. So the chairman described those people at his ward as imposters. The Nigeria Labour Congress also, describing this process, the courts, telling the courts to exercise caution in, entertaining frivolous suits and spurious prayers from mercenary party members. Are you a mercenary? Because that question has been coming up now.
Thank you very much. I thank God that Comrade Julius Abure, by his own self, through his own mouth, confirmed that he has his ward chairman there. And the people that suspended him, that was 5 days ago, they are not members of the party. But surprisingly, on the 5th of April, he went to court saying they were the officers of his ward. They were the ward executive officer of Labour Party. So when you appropriate and you prepare at the same time, a call for concern. I think that issue is clearly settled. He was the one that said they are mercenaries. So when you are suing mercenary as a member of the ward, it's even another offense in Labour Party. To go and bring a mercenary into our party and you now name them as officers of the party. Because we knew those people, they were his officers. But he said no, they were not his officers 5 days ago. But now he ran to court, listing them as defendants. And in his own affidavit, he said they were the officers of Ward 3 in his ward. They were the officers. We are not the one. And there is something that I want Nigerians to note here. As I think this order was granted, the judge said, order is hereby granted restraining the third defendant Labour Party from acting on the report of suspension. That was when our order had been granted. So we are not disobeying any court order because a court of competent jurisdiction has already granted an order that they should stop parading themselves.
No, Dr. Arabambi, pardon me to come in here. Dr. Arabambi, the question I'm putting to you, that term mercenary has been used, yes, for the ward members, and particularly for you and others in this light, looking at that statement from the NLC. In fact, the chairman has said this is being sponsored by opposition. So I'd like you to speak pointedly to that. Are you being sponsored by opposition party? Are you a mercenary? Have you had any sort of conversation around that? I'd like you to respond to that.
You see, the answer is capital no. And I might not believe that statement if the NSC president will come on air with a press conference, that we are going to see if it will call off mercenary, then we will have an answer for that. But I'm going to respect his position. I'm going to respect that body because we are together. I will respect, the office and position. We will not make any comment. The letter that was written out, I trust Nigerians. People can write anything and put the name of anybody, and they will not, they will just post it on social media. So I don't want to believe Comrade Joe Ajero, highly respected, he respected us, we call them mercenaries. Abure and I, we joined the Labour Party together. I was his deputy state chairman when he was state secretary. So he cannot call them mercenaries. This is our 14th year in Labour Party. So, it's preferable for anybody to say we are mercenary, but I don't want to believe that statement came out from the NSC president. With due respect, maybe if he come on here and say we are mercenary, then we will now be able to take we will know what to do next. But for Abure calling mercenary, he knows all of us, we are together in the party. He knows. It's just being, mischievous. That would be my response to that.
Yeah, Mr. Arapambi, I'd like you to speak more on that. But first of all, let me come to Mr. Tanko. I wonder if you believe or, think about how this may be rooted in events leading to the presidential election when the Ogun State Exco of the Labour Party was suspended for anti-party activities. Do you think that the Labour Party, upon reflection, ought to have resolved that matter more speedily before the commencement of the general elections? How much of what is going on now it can be tied back to events at that time?
When in a political party, everybody watch everybody. And there's nothing hidden as a secret in political party. When somebody tells you that they're having the meetings in the night and then maybe one or two persons will not hear, it may be a fallacy. Because Arapambi here, on several occasions also, maybe that's why probably some people may call him machinery. They've been seeing you with the governor of Ogun State, and that's Dakwa Abiodun and the rest of them, and and so sometimes when you see people in the camp that they are not supposed to be seen, people will allude to certain facts, and then severally, and those are videos and tapes that people have seen, and that is the reason why some of us will not want to engage to the pleasure of our opposition to enjoy their own grandmaster plan against our principal and our party in this particular saga. And that is the reason why it is good to also refer to the positions of the court, which, if you carefully allow me, the judgment says, to respond to some of the judgment issue that he alluded to, that I have carefully considered the motion ex parte, the supporting affidavit and the affidavit of urgency of the exhibit annexed thereto, and written argument of learned senior colleagues. After a calm consideration, I am of the view that the applicant have made out a case for the grant of the order sought. Accordingly, I hereby make an order of interim injunction restraining the first and second defendant from submitting or transmitting the purported notice of suspension signed by Ward 3 Executive of the Labour Party of the third defendant for deliberation and approval in respect of the subject matter of this suit, pending the determination of the motion on notice. I further decree an order of interim injunction restraining the third defendant from acting on, executing, and or implementing the purported notice of suspension issued by the first and second defendant over the subject matter of this suit, pending the determination of the motion on notice, that enrolled order of this honorable court, and then the motion on notice shall be served on the defendant case which is adjourned till 25th for 2023 for the hearing of the motion on notice. And this is clearly established that this particular case, probably whether 4 hours or 2 hours as the case may be, it has already shifted that particular issue of suspension on the chairman. So as we speak today, Julius Abure, Umar Farouk, Oluchi, Ojukwu are still leaders of that political party. In fact, to tell you the truth, we are going to pay a solidarity visit to them. But as I said, this is not in contravention of the constitution of the party, which clearly say if an officer is being found wanting by the document he is presenting, it will be dealt with according to the position of the party. That I want to assure you.
Mr. Tanko, you didn't quite answer my question. Am I still on?
Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that, of course, can be adjudicated in the court of law.
So if the Constitution of the party, we'll come back to you. If the Constitution of the party contravenes the Constitution of the Federal Republic, this one
of course, the court,
put aside.
Of course,
in the Constitution.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. And then the court will make that particular pronouncement, and that's all.
And we're in the process of getting it.
That's all.
Buki, continue, please.
Thank you, Nelta. Mr. Tanko, I was saying that you didn't quite answer my question, because some would say that perhaps the Labour Party was rather lax in handling, some of the issues leading to the general elections, before the presidential election especially, where we also saw the Southwest factions of the party or of Southwest groups of the party collapsing structures for the All Progressives Congress. So how much of that, is responsible for what is happening today?
Seriously, some of the challenges, pardon me for not answering those questions immediately, but I was so eager to give response to some of these other issues that were being raised. But here is good. In the issue of the Labour Party in Ogun State and all other states, majority of the state offices, most of them actually were given appointments and within the party level. And it is party level that will actually deal with this matter internally. And I have the belief that the party actually had more or less like a critical committee in place to deal with the issue of Ogun State. And Arabambi here actually comes from Ogun State too. And so those particular problems actually started emanating from those particular area. And of course, in that particular state, there were allegation and counter-allegation of issues that deals with issue of candidates who are supposed to be members of who are supposed to be contestants, which of course, I can remember one Okenla who was having an issue as regard to how his candidature was handled, and which of course Arabambi was the one that handled it. So he was actually thickly involved in the issue of Ogun State. And that was actually the bane of most of the problems that we have. So in the process of trying to rebuild and reshake the probably system in Ogun State, I think the party put up a leadership. But of course, you see, when they are struggling, when they are struggle for positions of power, especially when you are seeing that okay, the party is growing, there may be third forces, just as alluded that probably some people must have seen him together with the governor of Ogun State and all. So there will be confidence, there will be trust deficit as the case may be. But whether that goes down well with some of the members of the party in Ogun State or not, that's another issue entirely. But I'm fully aware that the leadership of the party try as much as possible to settle the problem in Ogun State.
Speaking of which, Mr. Arabambi, let me come to you now. Some months to the general elections, you were suspended.
Make a clarification. Every state where we have duly elected state officers that are illegally suspended, they were all reinstated yesterday. If my brother, I didn't believe it was Abure that was here, I would have asked him to read what the Constitution says about elected state executive, elected national executive, and ward and local government executive. You cannot suspend elected executive with caretaker. And he has forgotten as a lawyer that the Supreme Court has ruled against a political party being run by caretaker committee. All of you will remember what pushes APC to quickly did their convention.
You say you cannot suspend an elected.
No, the elected, executive with caretaker.
You cannot suspend an elected executive and replace it with a caretaker.
Yes.
So what have you done now? Did you not just...
No, he was not suspended.
He was just asked to step down.
He was just asked to step aside. He was not suspended. We are not dealing with the issue of suspension.
Okay.
What is the difference?
The difference is this. He said, in his own word, he ran to a federal court. He ran to a state high court. There are some people who are officers of his word suspended him. My lord, I want you to direct them not to submit that report of suspension to the NWC so that I will not be suspended. That was what he
yes, but right now you say you're asking him to step aside.
Now our own issue with him borders on the issue of corruption, and we went to court asking the court that we want to investigate him.
You went to court contrary to your own party constitution?
No, which one?
Your party constitution. What does it say when you find that an elected executive member has contravened your constitution? What does the constitution say?
I've just told you that the constitution of a political party cannot override the constitution of Nigeria. Once you have an issue, it's only in Nigeria.
Okay, sorry.
You see people sitting down in an office and they want to investigate themselves.
The question then is, would you say, is it at your convenience you suspend your party constitution to work with the nation's constitution, and then when it suits you, you go vice versa? Is that what you do?
No, we have asked him that this matter, we want it to be investigated in December 8th last year. But because of his office, he just decided, to behave like a military junta, he suspended our constitution and was just doing everything that he liked. And the only way we can seek a redress is for us to now approach the court and say, my lord, look at what is happening in our party. And the judge was right to say, okay, you cannot be a judge in your own case. It is a Supreme Court ruling.
And you say it is not a suspension.
It is not a suspension.
Isn't that a matter of semantics?
Is that?
Isn't that a matter of semantics?
Madam,
if somebody is not suspended, yes, he is not exactly working in that capacity.
Yes.
What is he on?
We want to cause an investigation. But the Supreme Court has made it very clear that you cannot be a judge.
Because I also noticed that when you were referring to him, you were saying something about former national chairman. Is that how you're referring to him now, former national chairman?
It's a former national chairman because we have an acting chairman.
And you say he's not suspended?
By our constitution, when there's an issue with the chairman, the most senior deputy takes over. We follow the constitution. Baba Papa is the deputy national chairman to Julius Aburi.
Okay, Dr. Tanko, your closing thoughts on this.
My closing remark is just to appeal to those who are trying to cause a stumbling block in the wheel of progress. The Nigerian people have made their decisions as regard to who they wanted to vote for. And whether internal matters and probably orchestrators or merchandising of any instrument whatsoever into cause that particular havoc to this particular will be resisted by the Nigerian people directly. We are saying that the constitution of the party should be followed and the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should be followed, and then we make sure that anybody that is found wanting as a law-abiding political party should be dealt with within the provisions of the law as Democrats. And I want to appeal to everybody who is interested in this project to queue behind that particular fact.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Abayami Arabambi, National Public Secretary of the Labour Party, and Dr. Yunusa Tanko, Chief Spokesperson, Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you both for coming to share.
Thank you very much for having me. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, from not too young to run now to not too young to lead, we're turning our attention to a group of young people who are making other young people proud, in fact, making Nigerians proud generally. They ran in these elections and they emerged winners in that sense. And as you've seen, Rukayat Shitu is a member-elect representing Owode Onire constituency in Kwara State Assembly. She's a member of the All Progressives Congress in Kwara State. Joins us virtually this morning. Good morning, Rukayat.
Good morning.
And right next to Rukayat is Ojie Inegbebo, who's a member-elect representing Igweben constituency in Edo State Assembly. He's a member of the People's Democratic Party in the state. Good morning as well. Thank you for joining us on the program. Right. Eventually, Ojie, you'll need to unmute when I come to you, but let me begin with Rukayat. I mean, it's exciting, actually, seeing the outcome of this election. Yes, well, we saw the parties doing very well, but particularly young people as well. I mean, Rukayat, you're 26 years old, and you're now the member-elect representing Owode Onire constituency. And I'd like you to just tell us, let's start from the beginning, maybe. I understand you're a lawyer, so maybe you get a lot of...
A
journalist, pardon me. So maybe you get a lot of that confidence from, being a journalist, having to, face people with questions. But what made you go into this in the first place?
Good morning. My name is Rukayat Shitu, the member-elect for Owode Onire constituency at the Kwara State House of Assembly. Well, what motivated me at first, I've been someone who is very passionate about governance and politics. And this has been something I've indulged myself in since my university day. I know so many times I get formed to contest posts while I was still in the university. I served in several capacity then. So, and aside that, being a journalist, I was able, while on the field, one thing that I use that profession for is to advocate for women political participation. So I use media to advocate for women political participation in governance and politics. So I'm so glad that what I am advocating for, I am living it already. So it's not something that I just woke up from the bed one day. It has been something, even while in primary school, I know I used to contest for class monitor position then. So I have been someone who loves governance, who loves democracy, who loves to engage in community activities.
Right. Some might say that you had some odds against you, Rukayat. You're a woman. A lot of people believe that's an odd, even though clearly a lot of say it isn't. A lot of people say it isn't. You're a young person as well, 26 years old. I mean, that is also an odd, some would say. You seem to be a conservative person, I mean, just judging by your look. So were those actually odds that were stacked up against you? How did you handle all of that? Because there's all these stereotypes that come, even before they hear you speak, they see you and they just automatically think, well, this is maybe not the person. So how did you navigate through all of those hurdles?
Well, I don't see that as an hurdle for me. It is not an obstacle because even I believe no matter what in life, whatever you want to do, you just have to face one thing or the other. So regarding my age or gender, the atmosphere in Kwara today has already redefined the role of youth and women in governance because before now, yes, we have more women in this state assembly. Before now, we have many young people as one of the appointees in the cabinet of the governor of Kwara State. And all of them are doing so well in their several jurisdiction. And this is what even paved way for me because the Kwara of today, under the leadership of Malam Abdurrahman Abrazak, has already sent a new message to the ears of everybody that women and youth are part of democracy, and everybody is doing so well. So I don't find it so difficult for me to sell myself to people because I'm a female or I'm a young person. And aside that, I've been able to prove people that I have the capacity, I have the capability to do things. And I know what the legislative work is all about because I point it out so well in my manifesto that this job is something I understood so well. I know the in and out because I served as the former Senate president at the Congress of National Open University Students, and we have more than 86 study centers in Nigeria. So while in the office, then I have done a lot of things which is gonna be a template for me when we get swearing to the assembly by June. So I don't find it so difficult in this space because it is something it has been something that it is inside me. I don't know how to put it. Something that I love so much. I'm practicing, I'm advocating for. Not now, it has been from after my university, let me just say. But when I was the university, I did so well to occupy the legislative arm of the student union government there. So it is not that difficult for me. And I believe, like I said earlier, that we have to face one thing or the other because I believe in this life, nothing good comes easy. We don't have more youth, we don't have more women in the decision-making table. But I just feel if I am opportune, if I'm privileged to get this kind of position, I want to use it judiciously just to inspire other people and just to allow other people to get on board too.
Right. Thank you very much, Rukayat. Let me come to Ojie now. And I'm glad Rukayat talked about experience. So you actually have some sort of experience, because that was another talking point. But Ojie, you're a lawyer, right? You're, I mean, older than Rukayat, but a young person nonetheless. Just how was it for a young person trying to emerge first, even within the party, convincing people within the party, then going out there to convince people on, campaign trail, telling them, vote for me, don't vote for the other person? I mean, you're a member of the PDP, so did that help you in that sense, or you had to essentially go all out as a young person and try to reach out in spite of some of those challenges? That's for OJ, by the way, if you can hear me. OJ, you need to unmute your mic. Okay. OJ, I don't know if you have unmuted, if you can hear me, but please click that unmute button so we can get you. Okay. OJ, I can't hear you just yet, but not to worry. We'll try to resolve that, okay? We'll have this conversation, okay? Let me come back to Rukayat. Trying to win elections in Nigeria, we've seen time and again that aside the usual campaigning, speaking to people, there's also the financial burden, okay, having to spend. And there's also the unofficial spendings, having to mobilize, some even go ahead to go as far as inducing people to vote for them. How did you go about this funding challenge? I don't know, did you have a huge war chest to at least even sort your campaign funding? Then did you have to go to that extent, that extreme of trying to, mobilize people, induce them? What was the experience for you financially speaking now?
Well, financially, the experience was okay and cool to me. No matter how much I spent, I still believe I did not spend much during the electioneering process. One thing is the party that I'm contesting on that has made it easy for us, particularly women and youth, because I can tell before we got forms as a female then, I paid only, I can't remember the one I paid for is either the expression of interest form or the nomination form, but I believe we paid for only one, and that opportunity is for the women folk. Then it was only 500,000, and I must say, since I declared my intention to run for the office, I've been seeing support from people. Like there are some people that I have not even met up to this very moment. I know they contributed one way or the other to the success of this election. So I think one thing is we should be able to let the world see the value in us, then they will embrace. So my own situation is such an example that I have the support of everybody, regardless of tribe, like people I don't know, like I said, so many people on social media. And again, I have friends, associates, and I must say the party did well for us by supporting us. And with the little I have been a fashion entrepreneur and being a journalist, where the savings I had then, that's what kept me moving. But still, I did not spend much like other people, because even if people see this, they see the value and they feel like we need to support art. They don't usually request money from me. So all I have been doing is just with less money and much telling people that I have the capacity and I have the capability to do this thing.
Well, Rukayat, I wish you would tell us exactly how much you spent. Perhaps that will give other young and aspiring politicians like you an idea of how to prepare ahead of the coming elections. But in addition to that, you had rightly pointed out earlier on that the current government administration in Kwara State has, had the practice of encouraging young people, to take up an interest and active participation in politics. I wonder how much of that was a spin for your participation and eventual victory in the election, as against your personal drive, as one with a penchant for politics.
Oh, well, if I can say the exact amount that I spent, I can't even have it in a sum. But the thing is, you can't have the money all as a young person. Like me, I'm coming from a very humble background, whereas my father is just a civil servant and my mom is a trader. So the Kwara today is a situation where a child, a daughter of a humble parent, but can become somebody, can also be a factor in the state. I can't say this is the sum of what I spent, but I know, because as a young person, I don't have all the money. Like I said, I've been seeing support from people that I have not even seen up to this very moment. Friends, associates, colleagues, everybody are coming in to support this cause. And like you rightly asked that the present administration is the topmost factor that influenced my candidature, because if already in 2021 the governor assented to a bill that was a 35% affirmative action, this bill created a lot of clean way, like a straight and a smart way for women folk in the state. Because even this bill did not only help women in APC, because during the primary, we are more than 25 that got forms to contest. We can, at the courtesy of this bill. So this bill provides us a level playing field. Like, it has already given us that this is a chance for you. Use the influence of the bill, and then let the world see what you have in you. So what's the governor of the state? Because even in Nigeria today, Kwara State has the youngest commissioner for communication. He's just 27. We have the youngest attorney general and some young people like that. And all of these people are doing so well in their ministry. So I don't find it difficult, because the governor has already sell it all, has already redefine it all to everybody in the state, that young people and women are part of this process, and we are contributing our own quota rightly.
Interesting. I'd still like to know more about, the challenges that you encountered, ahead of your victory, before your victory. But let's come to OJ, who I believe is with us now. We can hear him. OJ, we're talking about funding, as a challenge for young people, not just for women now, but generally for young people. Before your emergence, was it part of the challenges that you experienced, in securing a ticket in the first place? If you could just, give us a sense of that and other challenges that you experienced before your emergence as a member-elect.
Yeah, finance is a big deal to contest an election. Finance is a big deal. If you don't have the finance, you can't go anywhere sincerely. Because first of all, you spend money moving around from ward to unit levels to the state secretariat. You spend money. So you must have some good finance. To be able to purchase your forms, you must spend finance. To be able to go around the delegates for the primaries, you must spend finance. Cash, you must have it. So if you don't have money in the first place, you have no business being in politics. That's just the truth.
So what were the other challenges that you encountered besides finance? What about, appealing to party leaders? What were the conditions, for being preferred, for emerging, for being embraced in the first place as a candidate?
Yeah, emerging a candidate. At least we were about 6 aspirants who purchased form under my party to run for the same position. So it wasn't easy, and everybody was just looking at us as a cash point. So it wasn't, you had to go plead with your leaders, lobby. But fortunately for us, the omission in the new electoral law, where that made it 3 ad hoc delegates from each ward, were the only ones meant to vote during the primaries, made it a lot easier. But before we got to know that there was not going to be any amendment, that the president was not going to sign the amendment, we were already spending a lot of money trying to woo delegates, because you had over 150 or close to 200 delegates you were supposed to see. And you had to spend money, buy gifts, lobby them, plead with them. And it wasn't easy, but at the end of the day, God saw us through, and we were able to emerge as candidates. Then being the candidate, you now have to carry the party along. And if you are lucky, you have some of the aspirants who you contested the primaries with working with you. But if you are not, they go against you and join other political parties. So you now have to now start fighting internal devils within your party. People now betray because they are not happy you emerged as candidate. But we did everything possible to see that we could all work together, even though some went their own ways, but at the end, God saw us through.
OJ, if I may ask you this question, you've talked about some of the challenges you encountered. having to deal with the delegates during the primaries, and having won the primaries, having to deal with the party members as a whole, carrying them along. Those are your exact words. But beyond that, what was it like going through that process? I mean, I'm sure you had to compete against people who were much, much older than you, who are a lot more experienced than you are. And what was it like for you?
Okay. Yeah, I think amongst all the candidates of the various political parties that are contested within my local government, I dare to say I was the youngest of all of them. But first and foremost, what worked for me was that I live amongst my people. I wasn't imported from any other state to come and contest election. I have lived among the people. I'm a grassroots mobilizer. I have participated in various elections since 1999, contributing my quota to the party. I have never left the party. I am a true party man to the core. So all that worked for me. So when the time came for me to go around against other candidates of other parties, it was easy because the other parties have to ship in candidates from America, from Lagos, from different states and different parts of the world. But I live amongst my people. I feel their pain, so I was more at home with them.
So it
was easy for them to make their choice.
Okay.
Knowing who they wanted, it was very easy for them.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because I have met a young man who, not in these particular elections, I think he contested in 2019, and he made up his mind that he will not contest again because the people that he lived amongst were the ones who were asking him to bring money. These were his words. He said, they came to him, and when he came to his people, they told him, okay, all right, so what are you going to, how many drinks are you going to buy for us? And he brought them a carton, for want of a better example, brought them a carton of drinks. And they were like, what are we doing with a carton? The other man that came here brought us like 15, and you're bringing us only a carton. What's that supposed to mean? Did you have that kind of challenge? I mean, having to, you said buying gifts. Did you have that kind of challenge where they tell you, no, you cannot be doing this? The other person brought more than you should bring more. Did you have that kind of challenge?
Sincerely, I don't think I had that kind of challenge. Nobody forced me against my wish or my will. Whatever I had, I took to the various places I campaigned to. And when I got there, I pleaded with them. I told them what I wanted to do for the people. I'm in the race not for myself. I'm making a personal sacrifice because I have seen the people suffer because the good people fail to do what they need to do. And that's why I chose to come out to represent my people. Because I live amongst my people. I am not going to go and live in Abuja or live in America. Whatever development is coming, it comes directly to my people through me. So they knew what they wanted. So it wasn't really taxing. You need the blessings of your people. That's just the truth. They pray for you and you say amen, and you leave the rest for God. The only thing I also know, you needed to have good health. It was really a tedious one, going around. You don't sleep. 3 a.m., you're still on the road. So it wasn't easy. Without security, other candidates for various parties were patrolling around with escort police, but I live amongst my people. I don't think they will harm me, and I believe in my God. So I went on my own with friends and brothers, and we were able to reach out to everybody around the local government, and we got their support maximum.
So I think congratulations, Member-elect OJ. I think our congratulations are certainly in order because, I mean, it could not have been an easy ride from what you have narrated so far. But right now, you are waiting to be sworn in. You're waiting for the expiration of the 10 of the current members of the House of Assembly in Edo State, and then waiting for you to be sworn in. Now, we've also seen just how tempestuous the tenor of this current assembly has been in your state. The fact that, you know, it was almost difficult for a number of House of Assembly members to be sworn in owing to the political circumstances in your state. But I want to ask you, I'm hoping that everything goes smoothly, hoping that, you know, all the members who have been rightfully elected are sworn in your state. What will be some of the topmost things you have on your agenda to pursue for the people of Edo State?
First and foremost, I think, as we speak right now, you have about 3 different political parties with members elect in the House. The other time we had trouble in the House, the APC had the 24 seats, but they could not manage it because of trust. And the other members that could not come into the House, they refused to come into the House because they already made up their mind that they were going to impeach the governor. My first objective in getting into the House is working with the governor, having a peaceful relationship with the executive and the judiciary as well, and work with my other colleagues in the House to see that we bring development to our people. Our people is our goal. They are the reasons why we are there. We are not going to fight the executive. We're going to pressure them and see that development comes straight to the people. The people sent us there. I will not go there to waste the mandate given to me by my people. I will not go there to waste the mandate. The mandate was, I have to preserve it for my people, for the sake of my people. I have to deliver on the promises we made and see that the governor and the government of the day does what it's supposed to do for the people by delivering the democracies, the dividends of democracies to the people, so that the people feel the government. We are not going there to fight. We'll be one big family.
Well, I imagine that nobody wants you to go there to fight. I mean, that certainly cannot be why you have been elected. But what would you say are the priorities in terms of laws that you would like to see implemented in Edo State?
Yeah, in terms of law, I want to see people-friendly laws implemented. Then on the issue of tax, see how you can reduce the tax on the people, but also raising the internal generated revenue that comes to the state. Creating people-friendly laws and seeing that the right thing is done. That's my priority.
All right, so what would you be saying to young people who also might be looking forward to, say, the next cycle of elections to get involved? How early on would you say they should join, join the race, so to speak, if indeed, getting elected at the next electoral cycle will be their intention?
For me, if you work well, you can start the race at any time. If you deliver on the promises you made to the people, you can start your campaigns even a month to elections. It's because we are just coming on board. We started this race over a year ago. And from that year, we started the declaration, then moved on to primaries. Then before the elections, it was over a year, and it was really financially draining. It drained us seriously. So my goal is to go there, work for the people, and they will decide whether they want me to come back. So the next cycle will take care of itself.
Okay, let me quickly go to Member-elect Shitu right now. Congratulations to you too as well, Rukayat. I'm sure that you must be highly elated, and I can tell you certainly that, women and girls are certainly inspired by a story and the courage that you've shown to put your money where your mouth has been all of these years. For you, what would you say you're going to be pursuing? What will be at the topmost of the agenda? I mean, I imagine that you have to work with your colleagues, but certainly you must have things that you would like to pursue within the Kwara State House of Assembly.
Thank you. One thing is, before the swearing by June, I've already embarked on something which is needs assessment. And this need assessment will include all the more than 1,000 villages that I have in my constituency, all the 9 wards in my constituency, just to know what each community needs. Then, when I have this as a combined work, we will be able to go through them and work towards them. And aside that, in my declaration of intention, in my manifesto, I put something is quality representation. Quality representation goes beyond maybe sitting at the office, sitting at there only, and your influence is only within the constituency or within the state. At this point, I feel that we need to look out of the government. I mean, to partner with international organization, national organization, in order to fast-track development to the constituency, because I believe my constituency is not the only constituency in Kwara State. We have 24 constituencies. The government is doing so well. The government is reaching out to every constituency. But I believe if we truly want a fast development to our constituency, we need to partner with organization outside the government, which we have the same aims and goals, aims and objectives rather. So I believe with my emergence at the State Assembly, with the kind of experience I have, with the kind of exposure I have, I'm going to use this to bring a new look of what the work of a legislator is all about in the State House of Assembly.
Rukayat, you also have a huge responsibility on your shoulders, I mean, and other young people who are in leadership positions now. And that is, a lot of people will be looking to you to then evaluate other young people, sort of. So you are trailblazers, yes, but you'll be a reference point. And I not to pressure you, but what you do now would actually determine how a lot of other young people are viewed, people that, told this path, maybe encouraged by you, motivated by you, and want to do this. What you're doing now would influence how they are perceived as well. And it takes me to my question. A lot of politicians these days started very early, but I don't know, maybe somewhere along the way, things happened and I mean, they were derailed. And those are the politicians now that today people are trying to get out of government. So are you wary of that? Is that something you are aware of and you're trying to avoid? How do you plan to keep yourself with this vibrance, this people-centric, philosophy that you have, such that you don't end up like those politicians we complain about today?
I have this philosophy about life that if everybody is going this way, if I'm not satisfied with it, I can actually go this way. And this is what I define for myself. Since the day I come out to declare my intention, I've been very conscious of everything I'm doing because I believe I'm not seeing myself only at this moment. I see more people coming after me, like more people being inspired with what I do. I see these as an opportunity for other people to also come on board. And I have been saying this, I will be a good reference point to what will let people to allow more youth to occupy position. Yes, I am aware of all of the shortcomings people commit after getting power, but this is not me. Even though I have not occupied the larger politics position, I've been in the student union politics, and I know I have this integrity that I hold very well. So everything with me is always safe, and I believe that the Owodio constituency mandate given to me is safe as well, which I'm working towards anyway.
And you have all our best wishes in that regard. A very quick one, and this is an important one. You're operating now in a male-dominated field, and, you know, ahead of that, you know, just after you won your primary, it was challenged by a male aspirant. I wonder if you felt intimidated. What are the lessons, you know, that other female aspiring politicians can learn from how you handled that?
Well, one thing is we need to be very prayerful and very optimistic. I did an interview. I was asked, like, did I know that I'm going to win the election? I said I have 99% assurance because I'm very optimistic about life. Whatever happens, I always accept it with full chest. God is the decider of our destiny, so I believe in Him. And the next thing is we need to get prepared because we don't even know what is coming. We only see what we have today, where we are standing today. The next thing that is going to happen, we don't know. Yes, it was challenged by a male contestant, but I don't see it as an issue because I believe that's part of democracy. When you are not satisfied with something, the best way to address it is to approach the court of law. And he has already approached it. He is like a father to me, like I've always said. He approached the court and the court reaffirmed my candidacy. Wow. But it's not an issue to me from the onset because I believe I am the first day I come out to announce my intention, and I said I'm coming out. I'm contesting to win this election, right, irrespective of whatever, because the kind of opportunity I have is very rare. So I know that this kind of challenges is something I must face. I should face.
Well, thank you so much, Rukayat Shitu, member-elect Kwara State Assembly, as well as OJ Negbebo, a member-elect Edo State Assembly. We wish you the very best.
Thank you very much for having us this morning.
All right. Well, we understand that OJ has since been knocked out, but we appreciate your time and wish you the very best, from not too young to run to not too young to succeed in leadership positions. Well, that's been the show for today. It's Good Friday, and I mean, that's our wish for you, that you have a fantastic Good Friday tautology there. I'm Kayode Okikiolu.
And gratitude to those members-elect for that huge dose of inspiration for young people on the program today. Thank you so much for letting us share your morning. I am Bukola Koka.
Thank you, Maokbe Ogun Yusuf, wishing you a great weekend ahead.
And thank you indeed. Happy Good Friday and happy World Health Day. Stay healthy, stay good, and be a light. I'm Neo Taigwe. Have a nice day.